Hi, welcome to another Malicious Compliance episode of StorytimeGuru. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. In this episode, we will read 4 of the best malicious compliance stories. Our first story is titled, Have the Students Build It. Our second story is titled, Put More Packages on the Belt, You Got It, Boss. And our last story titled is, Do the Work Exactly How You Want It Done, Even Though It's Ridiculously Wrong, Fine by Me. Hope you like it. Posted by It's Theb Man 12. Have the Students Build It. I am a technology education teacher who always went above and beyond for my school, students, and administrators. I spent countless hours designing and building things for the school, i.e. signs, murals, wall art, games, etc. I really didn't mind because I enjoy the design challenges that go along with these builds. That was until I received a pink slip. For those of you who are not aware, a pink slip basically means that I may be losing my job the following school year. This really pissed me off because I had received great observations, became a role model for my students, and put in dozens of unpaid hours to create these side projects for the school. I had a meeting with my assistant superintendent who basically told me that she appreciated all of my hard work but didn't see much value in my program, and with budget cuts coming down the pike I would most likely be losing my job. Now it needs to be mentioned that tech ed is not like the traditional shop classes of the 70s where students would build birdhouses and ashtrays. My curriculum focused primarily on STEM with heavily involved hands-on applications. I related otherwise dry material to awesome projects that all students enjoyed. Kids actually liked their school work, and she knew it. It's also worth noting that both the valedictorian and salutatorian were going to Ivy League colleges to pursue STEM degrees. Needless to say, I was beyond livid. The week following the meeting, my principal asked me if I was interested in building some new games for the cafeteria that students could play when they finished eating. Easy table games like mini knock hockey, checkerboards, etc. to alleviate students from getting out of control. I explained that I could not complete the project, and that was that. Until the assistant superintendent caught me in the hallway and told me, just have the students build it. So that is exactly what I did. I tasked my laziest and most unqualified students for a special project, the result of which was glorious. Checkerboards that didn't have squares, knock hockey boards with splinters and uneven goals, laser engraved puzzles that did not fit together. I thanked the students and asked the assistant superintendent to come on down to my lab because the student projects were done, and they were excited to show them off. In she walks, and upon seeing the projects looks me dead in the eye. She now has a decision to make: 1. Ask me what the hell happened, or 2. Tell the students to their faces what a great job they did. She opted for choice 2, going on and on about how great everything looks and how proud she was of the students, while I had the biggest smile on my face knowing how crappy they turned out. I thanked her for suggesting to have the students build it, as she left with essentially a pile of scrap wood. The projects never made it to the cafeteria. I resigned from that school and took a job that paid $12,000 more at a place where I was valued. They ended up keeping the position and begged me to stay on board. I realized resigning was my best option because I could get an early jump on all of the new openings as opposed to being let go at the end of summer, which would leave me with the worst schools that could not find a teacher. Put more packages on the belt? You got it, boss. Posted by Slantraub. So, not too sure if I can name where I work, but we deliver mail and packages the last mile, and our head honcho in charge just got into a lot of hot water for slowing down delivery and disassembling machines. So anyway, in the section I work, if stuff is too big or heavy to fit into a sack, it gets put on a belt. We have 4 belts. Each belt is about 40 feet long. About 35 of that feet is flat and about waist high. The section where inputting packages on, 5 feet of the belt is angled at a downward angle which goes down to about my shins. Out of the 4 belts, 1 has been down for about 2 months, so we've been working with 3 belts, which slows us down a lot. These belts are about 30 years old. The belt usually works on, you can't put too much weight on the end. If you do, it'll start grinding, and if you don't take it off, it'll start to whine, if that makes sense. I know this, and everybody I work with knows this. Once the heavy stuff gets over the edge and onto the flat part, it's fine to add more weight. So, onto the malicious compliance. For some reason during the pandemic, people have been buying lifting weights. A lot of them. We get pallets with about 2,000 pounds of weights on them. I'm putting these 45 pounds plates on the belt. Once they get over the edge, I add another one. Our manager, who is a complete and utter douchebag, comes over and asks why I don't have more mail on the belt. I explain to him what happens and of course, he doesn't believe me. He orders, me to put more stuff on the belt to get the mail out faster. I again tell him why that's a bad idea. He then threatens to write me up for refusing to follow orders. Okay then. While he's standing there, I load about 6 45 pounds plates onto the bed. Immediately the belt starts grinding and starts to whine. This whine can be heard almost throughout the building. The whole time I'm looking at him and I can tell he knows he made a mistake, but he's the type that won't admit it. As soon as he starts to walk away, the belt completely stops. Won't turn back on even if it's reset. I yell to my manager that the belt is broken and now we're down to 2 belts with a ton of belts. Of course, the manager asks me what happened and I tell him, I was ordered to put more weight on the belt that it can handle. Looks like we're going to fail tonight. He's staring daggers at me and I just move to the other belt and start loading that one. He has maintenance come over and check the belt out, and they ask me what happened. I tell them the manager told me to put more weight on the belt. The maintenance guy responds, "What a fucking idiot. Do the work exactly how you want it done, even though it's ridiculously wrong?" Fine by me. Posted by Duple, writes. I've been a long time lurker on this sub, but for once I actually have something worthy enough to post about. Some background before we start. I worked as a drone pilot/mine surveyor for a man-child, using drones to take pictures of the mines, creating a 3D model out of those pictures, and then calculating all sorts of goodies for the clients like their gold yield and the amount of stuff they have to move, etc. It's really technical and can easily go completely to SH if you don't know what you're doing, and even if you know what you're doing, it can still very easily go to complete SH. I'm licensed and certified. I've been playing the game for a long ass time now and I know how it works most of the time. My ex-boss, on the other hand, didn't. See, he got his surveyor's license during the 80s by complete chance. He was a simple miner who just happened to be in the right place at the right time, getting a free university scholarship to become a surveyor because they had a few grants left over and called out who wanted it. His hand was one of the ones they picked. The second he got his license, he quit his job and convinced an old retiree surveyor to throw in his retirement, all cards on the table, to start up their own surveying business. He spent the entire time at the golf course and the bar, making a fat amount of cash out of his newly founded, self-milking cash cow. Not once did he carry out an actual survey. Hell, I doubt he's even stepped foot on a mine since then. He just invoiced the clients, told the retiree where to go, and collected a paycheck. So, time moves on, work slowly filters in and, as one does when they reach the ripe old age of 80-something, the retiree decides to duck this and kicks the bucket. My boss's cash cow just died on him, and no matter how hard he squeezed the teats, the only thing coming out of it now was dust. The only other employee was this other guy who acted as his assistant and basically just carried heavy SH for him. He didn't have a backup. So, of course, he hired me. I was pretty fresh into the game at the time, starving and basically homeless, and in my eyes, this guardian angel just descended from the heavens and offered me a way out that doesn't involve an ungodly amount of Xanax and a short rope. He basically told me that we have to survey X site, and get the data to X client. Didn't tell me how, didn't tell me what data exactly they want, hell, he didn't even tell me when they needed it by. He just pointed to the place on Google, told me to go there, and get it done. Somehow I ducking did it. By the skin of my left test, I scraped by and eventually figured out just what the duck to do. At some point, we were kicked off of the mine for reasons that my boss didn't disclose to me, and had to open up our own offices. My boss graciously dug deep into his pockets, kicked out his eldest son, and dedicated that room in his house to our use. Now I was spending every day with the man since if he wasn't at the golf course, he was at home. We started butting heads. He had this illusion in his head of how things work and how you're supposed to do things, and I had practical experience and qualifications to tell me otherwise. Every single day was a fight, and every single day he'd tell me how he wanted it to be done and I'd just turn around and do it the way it's meant to be done. I started passing out my CV like herpes at a frat party. My timing was perfect, though, 'cause a little blip and crash of the 2020 job economy happened right as I started searching. The interviews I had lined up all got cancelled. The people who I already interviewed with, and who seemed ecstatic to have me, suddenly didn't answer my calls. I felt like a scorned lover, waiting on the curb in the rain, underwear clinging to my butt cheeks and my socks soaking wet. I was considering maybe going back to IT, or even better, prostitution. I could maybe make $1 each, and thanks to a well-used childhood spent chewing gum, I knew I had the jaw muscles for it. I felt ducking hopeless and dejected, doomed to a life of taking care of a disgusting man-child and his fat wallet. Eventually, though, a second angel descended from the heavens, once again saving me from that seductive little noose. I checked her wings for wires and asked her to do an STD check before we carried on, and she checked out. Finally, I could ducking leave this place. I was waiting on the contract, not really willing to commit to anything without it being in writing when my boss and I got into another massive screaming fight. After hour 3, something inside me snapped. You want it done your way? Ducking fine, I'll do it your way. I committed ducking hard to following his procedure every step of the way. Surveys were taking 3 times longer to do. The drone crashed 4 times, my first ever crash, and all of them were near write-offs. The 3D models stopped looking like mines and started resembling potato chips and Twizzlers. He had clients calling him day and night, non-stop, asking him just what the duck is he doing. Eventually, he gave my number to them, so they can call me directly, and I started getting calls day and night, non-stop until I just turned off my phone outside of office hours. Clients were threatening to drop the contracts. Clients were threatening to sue. My contract came in from my new company, and I signed the dotted line with a smile on my face. One client stopped calling and stopped paying. Word got out, as it always does, that his company is just some redneck hoo-ha being run out of someone's home. Another client canceled the contract completely and threatened legal action. I handed in my resignation. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tap the notification bell.